Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody joining this secret fray. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to give.
Abraham gave birth to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. What caused the family to feud? Satan was at the root. 4 and 3 make 7. Also 5 and 2. One great universal truth, but many different point of view.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody joining this secret fray. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to give.
Unity or something start with you and I. Let's work it out together, you and I. Cause love is a thing you can't beg, neither borrow. No deficit, there will be more tomorrow. Take a big man to put difference aside. What a calamity when the difference collide. Every man self-righteous, don't be so shallow. Every man trust in the path that they follow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody joining this secret fray. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to give.
Abraham turning in his grave, seeing how the children behave, fighting and killing each other, denying the connection as brother, all waiting for the Messiah to pull the family together. But what will he require to keep them out of the judgment fire? We must unite in truth and do justice, practice righteousness. Then God's kingdom will come, and this wicked world will be done. We must unite the tribes in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Nigeria, and Nkrumah's vision lights the world over, from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Too much division make a good thing spoil. Families are lost over land and isle. Then the want for revenge starts casting a shadow. Some try to forgive, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Love sin a go on the sacred soil. Please say a prayer for the woman and child, and unite today so they can still have tomorrow. When faith separates us, it leads on to sorrow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody joining this secret fray. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to give.
I like not knowing what's going to happen. I like making memories. Sometimes I do all this crazy around my colleagues just so that they can tell their friends I did it. But rather than talk about myself, just briefly, I want to just talk about my genre. Stand-up comedy is an incredibly American genre. I don't think any other country could produce this many comedians. And unbeknownst to many people in this audience, I don't think there's opinion that it exists in this country that is not represented in a comedy club by somebody. Each and every one of you has a champion in the room. We watch you guys fight, but when we're together, we talk it out. I know comics that are very racist, and I watch them on stage, and everyone's laughing, and I'm like, that mother means that. Don't get mad at them, don't hate them. We go upstairs and have a beer, and sometimes I even appreciate the artistry that they paint their racist opinions with. Man, it's not that serious. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out. We gotta let some air out of the ball, man. The country's getting a little tight. It doesn't feel like it's ever felt in my lifetime. So tonight, I am honored that my colleagues are here in comedy and in music. And I want everyone in America right now to look at me. Look at me smoking indoors. I didn't ask anybody. I just did it. What are they gonna do? Kick me out before I get the prize? No, nigga, this is called leverage. The thing that I liked best about tonight was that I saw so many people from different parts of my life, like friends that I grew up with here in D.C., friends of mine from Ohio then and now, friends of mine from comedy clubs, all the musicians that blew my mind. You guys have no idea how you inspired me. I want to give a special shout out to my OG, Tony Woods. Miles Davis has a quote. It's one of my favorite. Miles Davis said so much cool but one of the things he said I always loved, he said, it took me years to learn how to play like myself. You know, he would watch other musicians, then he would try to play like Dizzy or Bird, all the guys who were great. Tony Woods was my Dizzy and Bird if I was a Miles. I was trying to play like you. You were the first person I ever saw do it absolutely right. You were fearless, and you told the truth. There's something so true about this genre, when done correctly, that I will fight anybody that gets a true practitioner of this art form's way, because I know you're wrong. This is the truth, and you are obstructing it. I'm not talking about the content. I'm talking about the art form. Do you understand? Do we have an agreement? And what I really wanted to say tonight, and I'm glad I get the platform to do it, I'm gay. I am gay, and I can't wait to see what this does for my career, being gay like this. So many special shout outs. One of the main architects of the comeback of the century, my brother and my mentor, the mighty Stan Lathan. I never dreamed that I would be able to work with someone as great as you. These last 5 specials, straight fire. I wouldn't want to do another special with anybody else but you. So eat your mother vegetables and live as long as you can, because we doing a few more of these bitches. Neil Brennan, your speech made me cry, because it reminded me of all those hard days of work and all that money I never got for it. The other real special shout out I gotta make, because none of this would have been possible on any level without this person, is my mother. Mom. My mother. Mom. You have no idea what I put this woman through. If you had just given birth to me, that would have been more than enough. But the fact that she raised me and raised me well, we had a real oral tradition in our house. I knew the word griot when I was a little boy. A griot was a person in Africa who was charged with keeping the stories of the village. Everyone would tell a griot the stories, and they would remember them all so that they could tell future generations. When they got old, they'd tell them to someone else. And they say in Africa, when a griot dies, it's like a library was burnt down. And my mother used to tell me, before I ever thought about doing comedy, she said, you should be a griot. And she'd fill me with every story of Black life. You know, she's educated in African American studies, and she would let me understand the context that I was being raised in. That I'm being raised in a hostile environment that I have to tame. By the time I was 14 years old, I was in nightclubs, mastering an adult world. It was terrifying. The crack epidemic was going on, and my mother would hear gunshots outside and be scared to death. Maybe it's my son. But early in my career, if you remember, Mom used to sit in the club with me. She'd do a full day of work. You'd be back there falling asleep, just waiting for me to go on. She would watch my show every night. Do you know how long that car ride is home? How many of you have ever heard your mother say, "Jokes were a little too much tonight, son"? I was a soft kid. I was sensitive, I'd cry easy, and I would be scared to fist fight. And my mother used to tell me this thing, I don't know if you remember, but you said this to me more than once. You said, "Son, sometimes you have to be a lion so you can be the lamb you really are." I talk this like a lion. I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me. And that's why I love my art form, because I understand every practitioner of it. Whether I agree with them or not, I know where they're coming from. They want to be heard. They got something to say. There's something they notice. They just want to be understood. Love this genre. It saved my life. So tonight, Mom, I would like to honor you in a very special way that I cannot do on my own. But because now I'm a man with great and influential friends, I'd like to ask my man Thundercat to come out on the stage. Thundercat, the Mighty Mos Def. Washington, D.C., thank you very much for giving me a home and a place to start. Today is officially Dave Chappelle Day in Washington, D.C. The mayor declared it last night. So, in the future, on Dave Chappelle Day, I ask everyone who wishes to celebrate it to make one incredible memory for themselves and or somebody else. Thank you very much. Good night.
Ready for Revolution, Peace and Power. Brother Eric Teray Muhammad here, and welcome to another edition of Classes in Session. Hope I can be heard. I had problems in the past with the sound. When I say the past, over the last 24 hours or so, but I think we have it accomplished. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If I can't be heard, I'm sure you all will tell me. So I thank you for the opportunity to share with you this great, mighty Monday morning. Class is in session. And Brother Ronald Newton, shout out to you and happy belated birthday. I only saw it last night that your birthday had arrived. Otherwise, I would have reached out to you personally, brother. But love and greetings to you, and I hope you had a joyous one. And I hope the entire year is joyous, prosperous, and magnificent for you, family. But not just for you, everybody, because every day is a born day. Every day is a new opportunity. Every day is a day of reckoning where we can realize the potential of ourselves if we master the art of leveraging the success of yesterday, bringing it into today, and utilizing the leverage of today to establish our future. So welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone and to our live stream here this morning on Classes in Session. All right. I shared with you, Brother Dave Chappelle, and I shared that for a specific reason, because of the principles he was willing to articulate and defend. This honor came this past January. I was in, I wasn't there in Washington, unfortunately. I would have loved to have been there. But this past January, he received the Mark Twain Award. It's the Pulitzer of awards for literary work, for academia associated with literary work, and the influence that The Voice has from an editorial perspective. Most people take for granted the power and the editorializing that comedians produce, that comics produce, because they are generally the voice that helps to bring sense, bring perspective to ideas and ideals that are happening in society where we may not readily understand or may not readily be able to embrace. The comic takes what happens, analyzes it, and gives it back in a way that makes us look at it from another angle, from another perspective. And sometimes it's quite blunt and direct. There are many people who came with great legacies. Lenny Bruce was one who came with a tremendous legacy of laying down the art form and laying down social commentary. Even the vulgar comics, when I say vulgar, I'm talking about old school, like Pigmeat Markham and all these cats, you know, Rudy Ray Moore, who came after them. There are certain commentaries, certain social commentaries they related to, because it was almost like looking out the window and they were speaking their reality. Hip hop artists have the same gift. They'll take the experience of a street, take the experience of an environment, and they find a way to articulate that experience to the extent that it allows us to embrace it in another way. So I'm always grateful to those who are able to scribe, those who are able to articulate, those who are able to editorialize, those that are able to tell the story. Because in our genre, the genre of networking, it's a story that must be told. It's an art form that must be defended. It is a genre that deserves respect. It is the largest grossing genre or industry in all of the United States. $200 billion are generated annually through networking. And it's normally a service that we don't really understand or embrace because we were taught against that. We were trained against it. Okay, so if you turn the nose up to networking or have done so in the past, it was only because it was taught as a scourge, because we were trained to get jobs. And because networking didn't represent a job, we turned our nose up at it. But combined, the industry of networking, what it grosses in revenues for the United States, this industry eclipses all sports, all of entertainment, all of your sport and play roll up into one, cannot match the volume of revenue that is garnered or derived from referrals, from networking. How many of you have gone to a restaurant and you enjoyed the food and referred somebody else there? How many of you read a good book and mentioned it to someone else? How many of you got a compliment on the fine clothes you're wearing and you let people know where you got them from? Well, maybe not some of you sisters, because you have this stereotype about you. I don't know how true it is or not, but there's a stereotype saying that you turn your face up when you walk out in the street and see somebody wearing the same dress or the same shoes or carrying the same handbag that you acquired because you want to be original. Well, that's a stereotype. Now, I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, I don't know. All right. But with all these referrals that go on, that come out of our mouth every day of the week, how many of you do get paid for them? You see, in our world of networking, we are paid for our referrals because we build team out of our referrals. We build a vision. We build dreamers. We build doers out and through our referrals. So there's a couple of things that Mr. Chappelle shared that I really want us to gain the opportunity to look at, to embrace. And look, all of you, shout out the wealth building teams that you represent on this platform. Let us know you're from Team Legacy or Team Audacity or Team Freedom or Team Union or Michigan Millionaires. Or, all those, there's so many of it. Team Calfani, all of the teams, let me know what they are, the Golden Alchemy groups. I mean, let's hear, okay? Because I want people to see the power of this art form, because we're going to deal with the art of leverage. We're going to deal with the art of leverage today and what it absolutely means in this society and in our framework. I think it's a relative conversation to have. And I'm excited about the opportunity to bring it. Hey, brother Abdul Rasul Muhammad, salam alaikum, the general manager of the Final Call newspaper, great student, minister, and friend, and helper and aid to Black people worldwide, and to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Welcome, dear brother. Thank you for everything and all that you do and all that you allow me to do. Brother Teddy Howard, oh, good to see you, brother. So look, today we're going to deal out of the 1 Minute Millionaire. We're going to talk about the art of leverage. We're going to talk about the power of leverage and how leverage allows you to maintain and or realize your dreams. But first and foremost, we got to go and do some housekeeping rules. You know what they are. Have you paid yourself first lately? Have you paid yourself first lately? Okay. Is your dream, is your why big enough? Do you see the power and the leverage? And do you understand the magnitude of what can literally happen for your life and the existence of your future when you invest in yourself first? I have a book that I often refer here. Of course, today we're dealing out of the 1 Minute Millionaire, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Fall of America, chapter 20, Decline of the Dollar. And he tells it very clear how America sealed her doom, how England sealed her doom by coming off the gold and silver standards. Once those standards were abandoned, once there was nothing backing your dollar, your piece of paper, then you found yourself out of position because the punch power, the purchasing power that your cash used to have is now no longer existent. He guaranteed 100% inflation. He guaranteed it. Now, he taught this, published this work in 1973, just a year and some change after Richard Milhouse Nixon, also known as Tricky Dick, came off of the gold standard because they wanted to create a petrodollar because the world was turning its nose against America. The world did not want America's money. The world only wanted the gold. They were turning their nose. They were frowning on America. America's being looked at as a bully at this time. So they had to devise a plan, these bankers, or as Mr. Jamil says, banksters, that's gangsters with a B. They devised a plan, and that plan allowed them to suspend temporarily the gold standard. They said temporarily. They suspended the gold standard and introduced volatile tiered assets. So petrol, the commodity of petrol, of oil, became the governing tool or the rule that allowed the US dollar to become the global currency. And now today, everybody can produce their own oil. There's no need for that. Barrels are backing up in OPEC nations. The gas prices have dropped. Things are crashing to the point where the dollar is almost valueless. And I use this often in our presentations. Here's a $5 bill. Okay. Now, it may say $5 on the front of it, but its purchasing power is only 3 to 5 cents worldwide per dollar. So that means you're not holding the value of $5. It's not a store of labor. It's not a store of value. What it is something that's worth somewhere between 15 cents and 25 cents. There's no power, no spending power in this. And I'm going to tell you what's amazing about cash. What's amazing about cash is that it has this unique, inherent, intrinsic system where the fiat currency at one point will carry its original worth. See, before it was backed by asset, the paper was worth zero. And then as the bubble begins to burst in the economy, it's going to burst. It's inflated as far as it can go. As it bursts now in the economy, what happens? It comes back to that original state of zero or nothingness when there is no asset backing it. But in our world of wealth building, we have gold. We have gold. I got a ton of it around here somewhere. We have gold. All right. Gold is a store of value. Gold stores your labor. Pay yourself first, folks. Pay the future of your family first. Help them to leverage themselves because the future generations, generational wealth is the key and the order of the day. You understand? Pay yourself first and your name will live on. We don't want your name just living on as someone who was a pretty good fella, came into the world, died broke, and left a debt to his families. Can't be that. Cannot be that. We're taught better than that. We've had all the leaders and teachers and guides that you can absolutely imagine. Now we need to embrace what they've given us, because in this moment now, where a world is made to sit down and be still, nobody's going to work, nobody's going to school, no one knows when the mailman will come and drop off that stimulus that you've been waiting on, that you're sitting at the rich man's gate like Lazarus waiting on crumbs. You're waiting on something that may potentially have no value or significance by the time you get it. So we know there's things going on in society. True. There are protests and there are rebellions going on. There are provocateurs, Asian provocateurs out in the United States and around the world causing havoc. And people are being corralled and quarantined into their own communities, and we're tearing them up. All of that is by design. That's not for discussion this morning, and as much as what I'm saying that in all of that happening, babies are still being born every day. That means God intends a future for the nation coming forward. We have to be positioned to receive them and accept them and offer them an opportunity that speaks beyond poverty. Poverty is the system, folks. And what I was taught by my father, that poverty is punishment for a crime you did not commit. It's absolutely time to make that change. So pay ourselves first. That's how we do it. And how do we do it? We just exchange the declining paper dollars for its power, its weight, its punch in gold. Get back to the one who introduced that opportunity of Karatbars to you, and they'll show you how to do it for free. The way to change the nature of our experiences is to change the nature of our thoughts. Stay plugged in, family. Stay plugged in. We have the magnificent power call going on. This is the Mighty Monday Power Call. Here we are, June 1st, the first day of the month, and we're going to be greeted by Mr. Michael L. Dalco, our senior partner in Wealth Builders Worldwide. He will carry the presentation at 10:45 a.m. Eastern, 9:45 Central, and then immediately after, we have the 12 noon presentation. I believe with Mr. Roger Williams, we're going to do a 12 noon presentation, a live presentation about the opportunity. Everything is aired on www.goldrocks.info. www.goldrocks.info. That's the place to be. We do live presentations at 12 noon, at 9 p.m. We have the power call 10:45 a.m. Monday through Saturday. And you know how I do. I just don't know how to get off the doggone live streams, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm all over the place articulating this opportunity, because now you can get out of the pocket of those who've been trying to make a way for you, and you can successfully rest on their shoulders and that which they exemplified, and now make a way for yourself and give back to them in the way that they have given over to you so graciously. And of course, tonight on Kalfani Radio, our Kalfani Radio Facebook page will feature Abundance is Your Birthright. This is the show hosted by mother and daughter, Sister Katora Bryan and Hafiza Touré. That's tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Kalfani Radio Facebook page. And get ready for the return of, not Duquan, the return of my brother, CEO and founder of Wealth, he is a wealth builder, the CEO and founder of Kalfani Radio, my brother Khalito Muhammad, and his debuting show. He's returning to the airwaves. He's dusted off the microphone Sunday, June 5th, 2020 at 9 p.m. Eastern. He comes back with Spotlight with Carlito. His guest that day is Brother Kevin 2X Thompson, Director Elite 3 in the mighty, mighty world of Karatbars International, and a tri-founder of the Elite Team, Team Freedom. So you don't want to miss that show as well. Now, getting back to the discussion on the art of leverage. This is the discussion that was born out of a reading of books. You have to read, family. You have to read. You have to do those things that prepares your mindset and shifts your mind from the slavery idea of jobs. I'm not talking about not having a role or responsibility. We need those things. Jobs are literally defined as a role in society. I'm talking about that vantage point where you're selling time unnecessarily for money. Think about it. 40 hours a week, 40 years of your life. Many of you retired on 40% less than the income you were working for in the first place. And you thought, because you thought in bulk, that it represented something powerful. There was a brother 2 years ago almost now. He was really upset with me because I commended him on the ability to work 30 years of his life and save $500,000 in retirement. That was commendable. But the man was only 60. If the average life expectancy is 85, he had 25 more years to go. How can you do that on $500,000? Now, you may think $500,000 is a lot because I mentioned one lump sum, but I want you to do the math. That's 25 years of life expectancy divided into $500,000. That's only $20,000 a month. I'm sorry, $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year over the next 25 years. That breaks down to $1,600 and some odd dollars a month. That's $59.99 a day. Do you understand the lack of power and leverage involved in that kind of breakdown? And if you're 60 now, you know you're going to have medicines you're going to need. You know you're going to have to see the doctors. You know you're going to have assistance at some point. You got aching joints. You're not eating the proper foods, or time is just catching up to a body that's put in so much impact over working and working and working. Brother Abdul Rasul on this line, he's a tremendous marathon runner. I love looking at him proudly exemplified those medals that show the completion of his trek and the measurement of his progress year to year. You know, Brother Terrell in New York, another brother. I love watching them do this. Okay, mind you, I watch. Okay, I live vicariously through them. Okay, but one day we had a discussion, Brother Abdul Rasul and I, and he talked about the impact that it has on your joints. You're running, right? But you're pounding pavement, you're pounding terrain, and the agitation and the shift that it causes to the knees, to the hips, to the back, eventually it wears. You see? Well, that's how time does, working these jobs, you know, selling the time for money, jumping up out of bed, just over broke. Man, you catch a fit. You know how it feels when you work. I don't care if it's 1 day a week. I don't care if it's 5 days a week. I don't care if you're working 7 days a week, 2 jobs. You're going to wake up with the same response to get your day started. You sit up on the side of your bed, say, oh man, I can't believe I got to go in here and do this. Let me go and get this started. There's a better way, folks, and you don't have to carry that stress. So the art of leverage shows you and proves the power of networking and what's available in our midst. So the art of a thing is also the science of a thing. Okay. Leverage is achieving your goals, or achieving your goal in the easiest, fastest manner possible. Now, isn't it ironic that we're trained 21 years of our lives from public school all the way through college, and those who get a master's, we throw it in there, be like 26, 27 years old. So let's say 21 years of education, but it's really training. 40,000 hours of programming goes into making you. And when you grab this degree, it only allows you to get a job. So you begin hustling backwards. You get the job that's there because you have a debt to pay down on, known as a college loan. It's the largest debt in American society. American fabric is the college debt, because it's deferred, meaning it moves on from buyer to buyer. Whoever assumes the debt adds more to it, and they continue to balloon it out, but no one ever captures or settles it. It's a bubble waiting to burst. Over $1 trillion in student loans are owed annually, and that bubble is growing. But what I wanted to mention, hey, Sister Colleen Muhammad, Brother Roland Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum family, Hakeem Booker, Aou in the house, Brother Christopher Booker Sr., BJ, Keem Audacity, Sister Khadijah Roberts, once again, Assalamu alaikum. Teddy Howard, you crazy, man. Linda Johnson Spence, good to see you. Listen, isn't it interesting when you're trained in the educational system? They tell you as you're going to school and you're taking your exams, don't look at that next person's paper. You look at the paper in school, you're failed. You get a 0 for cheating. You copy what goes on in the world today, you get rich. Because the role of society is the true role of society is to build the character, build the credibility, build the self-worth and self-esteem of the individual, but it comes out of a collective. So what happens in society? When you study the success of others in front of you and you emulate and copy the success of those in front of you, you duplicate the steps that those in front of you took, then you are also successful. But in the training stage, they teach you not to look at anybody else's work, not to appreciate the compliment, the camaraderie of others, because they want you to work for them. The residual income for the slave master and his children are you and I. Okay, so leverage is achieving your goal in the easiest, fastest manner possible. In fact, the foundation of leverage is using other people's ideas, other people's money, time, work, and experience to assist you in realizing your goals. Leverage is the absolute strength of success. It's the epitome of the old adage, why reinvent the wheel? Someone already has the money to finance your project, the time available to help you achieve your success, the experience to help you develop a course of action, etc. In the 1 Minute Millionaire, Mr. Hanson and Ms. Allen identified the 6 forms of leverage that, when properly implemented, can create, well, it can create millionaires. Okay, let's look at those few now. The first step is finding a mentor. Someone that has done what you want to do and who can save you a great deal of trial and error by showing you which pitfalls to avoid. I had a wonderful, wonderful discussion a few days ago. I always do, with our brother and friend, our senior partner, our griot, CEO and founder of Wealth Builder Worldwide, Mr. Tyrone Best. And Mr. Best and I were talking, and I asked him, because I always mess up this quote, I asked him if he would articulate or express to me the difference between those with an experience and those with a theory. And he said this, I'm paraphrasing because I might mess it up again. He says, the person with an experience is never at the mercy of someone with a theory. That with me, I hope the stream caught it. I saw there was an interruption. I'll share the quote again. He said, a person with experience is never at the mercy of one with a theory. So you hear people say experience is the best teacher, right? Well, how can you embrace the experience of one if you're declared a cheat or a thief or a robber or an unworthy person when you look at the work of that person? See, society and your training are two different things. The training in school teaches you, it condemns you for sharing your work and condemns you for receiving its reception. But in the world, in the real world, you need a rule of thumb. You need a rule of law. You need a yardstick of measure to follow. Mr. Best says the experience is never at the mercy of one who just has a theory, because theories have to be proven. Theories have to be deemed factual. And once it's proven, then it's something you can run with. But when you deal with what you know, you see, totally different. I used to be a believer in God. I used to be a believer in Christ. I used to be a believer in Muhammad. But something has happened in my life called experiences. As a result, now I know God. I know Jesus. I know Muhammad. You see? There's a difference between believing and knowing. And the knowing only comes through the experience, the experienced, and uniting and bonding with that one. So you need a mentor. Someone who has done what you want to do and who can save you a great deal of trial and error by showing you which pitfalls to avoid. Wouldn't life be much different if someone that you trusted was there to say, no, don't take that path? This one is much easier and success can be more easily attained. Don't you think that's possible? And then you have the next step is acquiring a team. The quickest way to maximize your efforts is to assemble a team committed to the goal, preferably a team assembled for strength, where the weakness of one is counterbalanced by the strength of another. I remember my sojourn in the Nation of Islam. Not that it's over. I'm just sharing a historical frame of reference. So I came to the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He stood up to rebuild the work of the Nation of Islam in 1977, September of 77. And I came shortly thereafter. Brother Jamil was there. Brother Minister Akbar was there. Brother Louis Smalls and Ilyasa, their cousins. It was a handful of people that comprised the Nation of Islam. Brother Angelo Muhammad and his mother, who was at Plainfield High School, where the minister spoke, in one of the very first public addresses that raised some of the greatest stalwarts of the Nation of Islam that history will ever record. Any rate, we didn't have the Final Call newspaper then. We didn't have the temples or the mosques or the study groups. I want you to understand what we had. We had the vision of a man who had an experience that showed him that this could be done again because it was done before. And we came along and we were armed with a copy here and there of Message to the Black Man in America, or we were armed with old Muhammad Speaks newspapers, and we represented the news in that paper as if it was today's news. And a lot of it was, when you think about it. I mean, we shared from a book published by Mr. Muhammad in 1973 that speaks volumes to the relevance of the plight of America today. And we shared and we networked. We developed a team. Some of us couldn't read or write. Some of us had just come out of prison. Some of us were homeless. It didn't matter. We believed on the man that stood in front of us with the experience, and we developed as a team. And now there's so many people in this great nation of Islam, you can't even quantify. You can't put a number on it. You can't put a number on the love and the respect and the admiration that this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has garnered the world over. So I only shared that to say acquiring a team is the next step. The quickest way to maximize your efforts is to assemble a team committed to the goal, preferably a team assembled for strength, where the weakness of one is counterbalanced by the strength of another. I couldn't read or write when I came to the Nation of Islam. There was a brother I was paired with who knew how. Well, it turned out that he didn't know how either. It's just that when the minister put us together, it was assumed that each one of us knew how to read, when truthfully we didn't, but we knew we believed. And now we're great readers. Big ups to Brother Zelbert Muhammad. Okay. The third form is developing a network. Okay. Developing a network. This is the thing that all successful multi-level marketers have in common. We're not a multi-level marketing company in the world of Caraballs International. We're an e-commerce company, but there's a component that gives layers, not levels, but layers of compensation, because we deal out of two key components that garner the greatest compensation plan, which is leverage and exponential growth. Okay, so the founders of the network have realized that multiplying the efforts of many produces the greatest results in the shortest amount of time. J. Paul Getty, one of the first documented billionaires in America, he said, documented as a self-made billionaire, he said that he'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of his own efforts. That's just simple math. Next is the infinite network. Infinite meaning forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. This is the superlative of the networks. It is a thing that makes us believe in fate and serendipity, connects us through attraction principles, and unites us as members of a spiritual complex. So yes, I can talk about Christianity. I can talk about Islam. I can talk about Judaism as a wealth builder, as a networker, because you're given a level playing field where the goal in mind transcends race, ethnicity, religions, political acumen, because a goal, a focused goal, allows you to pool around that, because you have the mentorship, you have a team, you have a network, and now you have inherent principles in the infinite network. Do you know networking is just like faith traditions? Someone had to introduce it to you. Someone had to encourage you to come out and invite you. Someone shared a presentation with you. Someone, after you accepted, has now guided you into some level or form of orientation. So you now have different studies, Bible studies, study groups, whatever the scenario is. And then you go out and propagate your faith. You do all those things in networking. Every last one in that order. Hey, Sister CeCe Mahone, Glenn Perkins, also known as Dark Gable, good to see you. Brother Jamal Lamont Baylor, good to see you. Right? So It's an infinite network. How does this relate to leverage? It relates because possibility, potential, and purpose are all components of success, but cannot manifest without the infinite network. You have to come from a space, a foundation that is gelled. You have to come from a space and a foundation where you can recognize the significance in each other. So Lyndon Johnson Spencer, where I'm weak, you may be strong. You see? Where my shortcoming comes, it might be balanced with the strength, with the ability to achieve through a brother Abdul Rasul. You see how it works? I can roll with a Teddy Howard. I can get with a Centoya Stacy. I can get with a Khadijah Roberts. Why? Because we all have a sense of purpose, but our foundation is principled and it allows us to roll and run with the runners. Okay? So that infinite network, essential, folks. And then the fifth form of leverage. The fifth form of leverage is the use of tools and skills. My God. Success comes more easily to those willing to learn the tools and skills that will streamline their process. By be willing to experiment and embrace technology. Okay? Just think how much easier it is to perform tasks since the invention and availability of computers, the internet, and whatnot. Look, many of you who came through direct sales or multi-level marketing, or you came through like I did in selling subscriptions to the Final Call newspaper, we went door to door. We went door to door. We didn't have email. We didn't have fax machines. Okay? None of that existed. We didn't have social media. Sometimes we drove miles to make sure that we pushed 100 newspapers out. And we drove 100 miles back to wherever we came from. Sometimes we would make appointments and drive miles into other cities, in other counties, in from state to state, only to find when we got there, that person wasn't there. We had no way to reach out to them because there were no cell phones in that time either. So we made do the best with what we had. And then we came back home or came back to wherever we were staying, or we stayed there until we pushed the papers out so we can develop the gas money and the food money to get back to where we needed to be. That's networking. That's marketing. That's moving. Those are tools. Those tools helped us grow. Those tools help fuel belief. Those tools help create attitude, and attitude is fueled by belief. All right. So the use of tools and skills. All around me, I have books. All around me, I have CDs and DVDs that I push and distribute to all of our teams. In fact, we have the 90-day run to wealth. The second week of it begins tomorrow, 6 p.m. at our private Zoom link for those who enrolled into that session. And I can tell you, there's been tremendous reporting out, tremendous benefit for those who have learned how to identify the surplus that exists every day in their own home. Hey, Brother Billy Bibb, I got to do it. Y'all forgive me. Hey, Tuskegee. That's my brother and friend. Okay, so you got to make use of your tools, your skills. All right. You got to embrace technology and not just turn a blind eye to it because it's something new. You didn't use it when you came up. That's sort of asinine to abandon it when God has left you alive and in full mind, soundness of mind in this hour to embrace all those things that he's permitted to come into existence. You should do all as you can to learn how to maneuver and navigate through this technology, because this technology gives you the access that I and others of us enjoy of 8 billion people around the world from the safety and comfort of our homes. I don't work for nobody. I don't punch in no clock. When the pandemic came and people were made to stay home, I was already home. I want you to think about that. And then the final form of leverage are systems. It's a system, folks. It's a system. Man, a system. Okay. Well, what is it? What is a system? A system is much easier to follow an existing path than to carve out your own. Success comes from learning the systems that have brought success to others and duplicate them for your own idea. It's a yardstick of measure. It's a guide. It's a syllabus. Okay? So what do we have in front of us? Why do we incorporate a system in our world of wealth building in Karatbars? Because the system will not fail you. If you know that you have meetings on certain days, certain times, certain conferences, different trainings, if you have books that you can read, CDs that you can leave with the next individual, because you may fall asleep, you may forget to articulate something, but the system, the books, the CDs, the DVDs, they run 24 hours a day. The replays of your live events and trainings, you can go to them over and over and over again. It's about a system, folks. And Wealth Builders Worldwide, we have that system. We have the ultimate how to do this darn thing for everybody and anybody in the world. We got it. We have it. You need to screenshot what you see on this screen. You need to take a picture of all the development and all the programming and all the training that's available to you 24 hours, 7 days a week, either live or replay. You need to look at your resources there on that screen. You need to take a look at www.mywbw.net. It is the encyclopedia of the wealth builders culture. You learn how to take massive action with the tools that are provided. You learn and understand why we're able to say you may be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. The tools. We need, family, to embrace the tools. These are the advantages of networking. And when you embrace them in its entirety, you have positioned yourself with an opportunity to realize the power of your dreams and realize the lifestyle associated with those dreams. I am so grateful and happy that you've honored me with this Monday morning presence. I appreciate the time and efforts that all of you put into being here with me, because you can be anywhere else. I did 4 live streams yesterday, only to find out that one of them didn't have sound, so that's what made me do 4. And out of those live streams, people joined on and signed up with this opportunity, folks, like fish jumping into a boat, like I was just rowing bait. And they didn't have to wait for the hook. They just jumped right on in, because they can see clearly what this opportunity represents. And I would say to any of you, you can't lose anything by trying it. It's free. However, you can't gain anything if you don't. So position yourself to understand the opportunity that's in front of you. It's for you. And like I said on the streams yesterday, on the live events that we did, I don't want your money. I don't give a rat's patootie about your money. I want you to want your money. I want you to identify what real money is. I want you to leverage the economy in your own home, because when you do that, it really does not matter who the president is, who the governor is, who the mayors are. It doesn't matter who your council persons are. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Because when you turn the key to your door and you walk through that home, you are the head of state. You are the chairman of the board. You are the board of directors. You are the one who controls the economy under your own roof. You set the tone for your children. You set the barometer by which temperatures are maintained. Last point I want to make about that phenomenal man there in your upper right, with the beautiful Karatbars hat on, Mr. Tyrone Best. Did you hear Mr. Dave Chappelle in the opening talk about griots? His mother talked about all of the African traditions and taught him about the griot, that master teacher, the one who tells the story. Well, that's what Mr. Best represents to us. You know, he keeps the stories of the village. He keeps the stories of the culture. And these aren't fabricated stories. These aren't lies. These are wisdoms. that are expressed over 37 years of being free in America. He and his wife, Sister Valerie Best. That combined 37 years of experience, they have a household of 100 years of freedom between them and their 2 children. The gentleman on the right, Mr. Dalco, one of the greatest analytical minds that you can find on the planet, one of the most disciplined human beings I've ever encountered in my life. You think he has 95,000 people behind him on a chance or happenstance? No, he followed a system that was introduced to him through that man he's embracing, Mr. Tyrone Best. And if it worked for them, folks, I've only been here a little over a year. I know it works for me. I'm 2,000 people later when before it was just my wife and I. So you're talking about the growth and the development by following the story, following the system, following the tenets of the trainings that allow you to garner the success you desire. What is your why? That's rooted in knowing what your dream is. And combined with your desire, your determination, and your discipline, your dreams can, in fact, be realized. So I want to thank you for your time. You know, it's coming up on that 9 o'clock. I got to catch the rest of Sister Lakeisha McKnight on her Facebook page because I'm ready for that Bible study. And then I'll go to Brother Consul Hotep Atom on his pre-show to the Power Call. And then you'll find me right there with Brother Michael L. Dalco at 10:45 Eastern on www.goldrocks.info. Don't wait till Friday to pay yourself first. Look around that house and find that change that you got laying around that you don't spend nowhere. You're not going anywhere. You're not going out to the movies. That's a dead issue. There's no sport and play out here. Take that money you normally throw away, put it into a surplus, develop it into a fine savings, allow it to grow for you in gold, and then continue to feed the future of your dreams. We're talking about legacy and generational wealth. So remember, 10:45 Eastern, the Power Call. Bring everybody there. Bring everybody to the 12 noon live presentation. I believe it's being done today by Dr. Rhonda Hollins. Man, you cannot lose with the stuff we use, and this world cannot win in the shape they're in. Peace and power, family. I will see us all on the next stream, and I'll see many of us tomorrow night, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, on the 90-day run to wealth. Look for your materials today. Some went out yesterday. The majority of them will be in your email or through text message today. Peace and power. Forward.
Strong word, love, soul, and change. Yeah, this is Big Snoop Dogg coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You dig?
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Oh, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, what will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenish ya, finish ya, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. So let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Oh, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle to tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House, back to the castle with the minister, no doubt. Shoes at the front door, love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it for
Let's
ourselves.
change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.